Morning students. Our today's topic is electromagnetic induction. Before starting the topic electromagnetic induction, we must know about the magnetic flux. See, what is magnetic flux? Magnetic flux is the number of magnetic lines of force passing through an area. Number of magnetic lines of force, magnetic lines of force passing through an area, passing through an area is called magnetic flux. Number of magnetic lines of force passing through an area is called magnetic flux. Now magnetic flux is denoted by phi. So phi is equal to B dot A. It is a mathematical representation of magnetic flux. So magnetic flux is equal to BA cos theta, and this is the expression of magnetic flux. Phi is equal to BA cos theta, where B is the magnetic field, A is the area through which magnetic field lines are passing. Now, SI unit of magnetic flux, SI unit of magnetic flux is Weber. It is denoted by WB, Weber. Okay, so magnetic flux is over. I repeat, magnetic flux is number of magnetic lines of force passing through an area. It is denoted by phi, and its expression is phi is equal to BA cos theta, where B is the magnetic field intensity, A is the area. SI unit of flux is Weber. Now the topic comes, that is electromagnetic induction. It is written as EMI in short. EMI means electromagnetic induction, and this concept was given by the scientist Michael Faraday. So what is electromagnetic induction? Electromagnetic induction states that it is the phenomenon of producing electric current by changing magnetic flux. So it is the phenomenon of producing current by changing magnetic flux, is called electromagnetic induction, and electric current produced by changing flux is called induced current. So induced current is that current which is produced by the change of magnetic flux. Now the question is, how current is induced by changing magnetic flux, and that was given by Michael Faraday through some experiments. Now let's see the experiment demonstrated by Michael Faraday. See, suppose we take a coil and connect the coil with galvanometer. So galvanometer is the instrument which detects the presence of current in a circuit. So coil is attached with the galvanometer. Now a bar magnet is also taken. In the first time, both the coil and bar magnet are kept at rest. So when both of them are at rest, then number of magnetic lines of force passing through the coil is not changed. And as number of magnetic lines of force passing through the coil is not changed, so flux is also not changed. And when flux is not changed, then current is not induced, and galvanometer shows zero deflection. So if there is no deflection of the galvanometer, that indicates that current is not induced in the coil. In the second case, Faraday keep the coil at rest, but he moved the magnet towards the coil. And as magnet is moving towards the coil, then what has happened? The number of magnetic lines of force passing through the coil is increasing. That is, the change of magnetic lines of force through the coil is taking place. And when number of magnetic lines of force passing through the coil is changed, then flux is changed, and when flux is changed, a current is induced in the coil, and galvanometer shows sudden deflection. That indicates that when the magnet is moving towards a coil, then magnetic field lines passing through the coil is increasing, and because of the change of magnetic field lines, flux is also changed and a current is induced, and that was demonstrated by the sudden deflection of the galvanometer. In the next case, he again kept the coil at rest and moved the magnet away from the coil. So as magnet is moving away from the coil, the number of magnetic lines of force passing through the coil is decreased, and as magnetic field lines decreased, flux is changed, and when flux is changed, then current is induced in the coil, and galvanometer shows sudden deflection. So in this diagram, we made it clear that whenever there is a change in the flux, current is induced in the coil. So this is the production of induced current, and that was shown by Michael Faraday. So whenever there is a relative motion between the coil and magnet, a current is induced in the coil, and this current is called induced current, and the phenomenon of producing induced current is called electromagnetic induction. See the diagram. Here you said change in magnetic field produces the induced current, and that was shown by the galvanometer. Now the direction of induced current is given by Fleming's right hand rule. Fleming's right hand rule states that three fingers of our right hand, forefinger, middle finger and thumb, are held mutually perpendicular to each other in such a way that forefinger indicates the direction of magnetic field, thumb indicates the direction of motion of force, then middle finger indicates the direction of induced current. I repeat, Fleming's left hand rule states that three fingers of our left hand, forefinger, middle finger and thumb are held mutually perpendicular to each other in such way that forefinger indicates the direction of magnetic field. Forefinger indicates the direction of magnetic field. Thumb indicates the direction of force. Then middle finger will indicate the direction of induced current. So Fleming's right hand rule is the rule which is used to find the direction of induced current. Apart from Fleming's left hand rule or right hand rule, one more rule is used to find the direction, and that is Len's law. So, but in this particular topic, we have no scope to discuss regarding the Len's law. Our next topic is direct and alternating current. Direct current means current that flows in one direction, that is unidirectional current. So current that always flows in one direction, current that always flows in one direction. One directional current is called direct current. It is denoted by DC. And alternating current means current whose magnitude is changing continuously and direction is changing periodically is called AC or alternating current. Means current whose magnitude changing continuously and direction changing periodically. You see the diagram over here. In the x-axis we represent time, and in the y-axis we represent current. You see, at the first time current is 0. Gradually the magnitude of current goes on increasing, and at the top magnitude of current is maximum, that is called peak value of current. Then gradually magnitude of current goes on decreasing, comes to 0, again increases but in opposite direction. So here you see the direction is changed after a particular interval of time. So this current is called alternating current because its magnitude is changing continuously and direction is changing periodically. That is AC. So if you want to represent AC on a graph, you will get a sine curve like this. And direct current, its magnitude and direction are always constant. This graph shows the direct current and this one shows the alternating current. Now, frequency of AC in India, that is 50 Hertz. Frequency of AC in India, that is 50 Hertz, and its time period is 1/100 second. So this is direct current and alternating current. We repeat once again. In direct current, current always flow in a particular direction, that is unidirectional. The example of direct current is the current that we get from battery, and alternating current, current in which magnitude is continuously changing and direction changes periodically, that is AC. And in India, frequency of AC is 50 Hertz. One average of AC over DC, advantage of AC over DC, that it can be transmitted over long distance without much loss of energy. In case of DC, it cannot travel through a long distance. So today is this much. In the next class, we will deal electric fuse and all. Till then,